Ahlan wa sahlan. Hello and welcome again. Well, congratulations, you have made it through Unit 1, so now you know the basics of Arabic words. Now we get to the really fun stuff, and this is where we're going to beat all those folks in Spanish and French and those other languages. We're going to start talking about the measures, and we're going to begin with talking about measure number 2. Our goals today are, as you see here, we're going to introduce the concept of measures. What on earth does this mean? We're going to talk about measure 2 verbs and what they mean. And very, very important, do not leave here today until you can correctly pronounce and understand the vowel patterns of these measure 2 verbs, or else you will be very confused. Now, you're saying to yourself, but what on earth are we talking about measures? What does this mean? Well, the first thing to understand is this has no equivalent in English. So don't be trying to figure out what this is in English or French or any other language. It doesn't exist. But this is what makes Arabic so systematic and fun to learn. So, what is the concept then? Let's take an example. Let's look at these two words in English, the word leave, to leave, go out, exit, whatever you want to call it, and the word to expel, kick out, and so forth. Are these two words related? Well, of course, they obviously are related to each other, but the question is, how are they related? Can you look at these two words and tell? I mean, if you only knew the word leave and then you came across this completely new word you had never seen before, would there be any way to guess that this word is related to this word? I don't think so. Now, we do know, if you know both words, you know the meaning. What does expel mean? It means to cause someone or something to leave. You expel air, you expel a diplomat, you expel a person from your house or whatever. So this verb means to cause this particular verb. But in English, there is absolutely no connection in the way that they are written or pronounced. Okay, let's look at the opposite example. To enter means to go in. To insert means to make something else go in, right? If you insert a USB into your computer, what are you doing? You're making it enter. Okay, now, again, these two words related? Yes, they are. In fact, it's the exact same relation as the previous pair we saw. But is there anything about this word that would tell you that it is related to this word? Not really. Okay, but of course, enter and insert are related in the same way as the last pair. And to make it even more interesting, nowadays in English we talk about entering data, right? Which means to insert, i.e. to cause to enter data. But it sounds like the data enters itself, right? Just walks on in there. This may leave you quite confused. And if you were unfortunate enough, if you were learning English for the first time, you might feel like this person. But at any rate, it means you're going to be using a lot of these in English. Why? Because you have all these words that are related, but they don't give you any indication that they are. Well, you know where we're headed with this. You've heard this enough times. So, let's look at the equivalent words in Arabic to those two that we just did. So, kharaja, you've seen this before, means to leave. Kharajtu, I left. Sa'akhruj, I will leave. Okay, to leave, to exit. Now, we want to get the equivalent in Arabic to expel, to cause someone to leave or something to leave. Now, in English, if you remember, we just had to learn a completely new word that looked nothing like the original. In Arabic, in order to make this happen, what we do is we put a shadda over the middle letter, always over the middle letter of the root. We double the middle letter of the root, and this has the meaning of causing this to happen. This is what we call measure 2 or form 2 or pattern 2. It means it has this change of spelling and pronunciation, but it has this change of meaning. Look how simple it is. Isn't it much easier to remember this one little trick instead of remembering a ton of brand new words. Well, of course it is. Well, let's look at the other example. Dakhala. Dakhala is to enter, to go in. Dakhaltu. Dakhaltu al-matam. Sa'adkhal al-ghurfa. Okay, to go in. Now, you know where we're headed. Here, to insert, to cause someone else or something else to enter. Well, if you watch the pattern we just did, then you know how to do this. What are we going to do? Exactly right. We just put a shadda over this middle letter. We double the kha, dakhaltu, and we get what? To insert, or literally to cause to enter. Now, you know what I'm going to tell you next. How many roots is this going to work for? Right, this is a pattern. This is a solid pattern, which means if you want to make this, you just do this. And if you see this, you know what it means. This is the power of the measures. Okay, so rather than learning a whole bunch of new words, we are able to produce these new words, and we're able to guess the meaning of new words based on the measure. Let's look at yet another example. That's what you want to do. Now here, do not touch your dictionary. Get your hands off the dictionary. Put Hans Ver aside. Okay? Without using the dictionary, we're going to see how this works. Okay, you come across this root. Now, you have seen this root before. You look at these three letters. If you know any word that comes from these three letters, then you know the basic idea of the root. Take a moment to look at those three letters. Right? Of course, you know what is the word Jamil. Jamil means beautiful, as in Kelb Jamil, as if there were some other kind of kelb. Right? So, we know that's what the root means. Now this, of course, is an adjective. Now, without touching your dictionary, without looking up anything, and without going to that cesspool of Google Translate, I want to know the verbs, these two verbs here. Okay, you don't need to look anything up because you know the patterns already. As long as you have the root, you can make the patterns. They're going to be what? And what? Exactly. Measure 1, jamala. Measure 2, jammala. Again, with the shadda here, means to cause something to be this. So, the adjective, the verb of being that, the verb of causing that, you also would know how to make one who does this and so forth. You already know all these patterns. This is the power of the measures. Isn't it something? Yes. Yes, you're stunned. Okay, let's go on. Another example. Okay, in this case, I want to go from small to shrink. Now in English, you know these two words are related, but if you didn't know them, you would never come up with this word, right? So without looking up anything, you don't need to look up any words, you don't need to review anything, you can give us both these words. I want to know this one and then how we get this one. Now I guarantee you've never seen this word in Arabic, you've had no reason to look this up, but you can do it right now. Okay, what is small? Exactly, صغير. صغير is small. So the root is obviously which three letters? Sad, Ghain, Ra. Okay, obviously that's the root. So you know we're going to play with the root. Now, shrink. If small, right, measure 1 always means a basic something. To shrink is to what? Yeah, to make small, it's obviously a measure 2, and this is it. You don't need to look it up. Again, you can guess that word right off the bat. We can do the same thing with ghaddaba. Sounds like ghadban, to make angry, right? Sa'ada, to make happy, and so forth. But we're not done yet. Suppose you came across this word, kassara. Suppose you came across that word. You have never seen this word before, but you want to know what it means. Well, again, don't look it up. Now that we've had you buy that lovely dictionary, don't ever touch it. Okay, so what is the root? Obviously, that's the root. Qaf Sad Ra. Right? That root means what? It has to do with, of course, exactly. Right? We know the word qasir. Qasir is short. Now, what kind of word is this? Well, you can tell it's a measure 2, so it means to make something be whatever the measure 1 is. So, qassara, to make short, i.e. to shorten, abridge, condense, whatever. Okay, this same pattern is going to work for all these different roots. What do you think of that? Agreed. Exactly. Okay, now again, just to give you a little preview of the concept of the measures. So we said again, this does not exist in English. I mean, we have the same meaning, but we don't have a single pattern that does this for every verb. Now, as you may have already gathered from previewing some of your material, we have 10 measures in Arabic. You've already seen the first 2. Measure 1 is just the basic whatever. To eat, to drink, to sleep. Measure 2, right, we've seen what this is. One simple change to the pattern, putting a shadda over the middle letter, makes it causative. Okay, well, in the lessons that follow, in the weeks that follow, we're going to introduce measures 3 through 10. Now, they each have a different function. They cause some different change to the meaning, but they're all caused by making one slight change to the root. Adding a shedda, adding an aleph here, adding a ta there, and so forth. You're going to learn each one of these individually, so we don't want to go over them all right now. But this is where we leverage the measures and the patterns to learn a lot of new words without having to actually memorize new words. So that's why they say whenever you learn a new root, you automatically know 30 new words. Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but the idea is the same. And again, our friends in French and Spanish, well, they have a lot of words that look just like English. We don't have that, but we have this. And so if you don't master this, then you're going to be kind of lost. Okay, so for now, we have measures 1 and 2. Trust me, we will take the others in stride. Don't worry about them. But spend time to make sure you have 2 down because 3 is coming up next. But just to give you a preview, for example, take a look at these 2 words, right? Investment and profit. Are these 2 words related? Absolutely, right? What is investment all about? It's all about this. And further, if I ask you which one is the basic word and which one is the derived word, obviously profit came first, then investment is something to do with this. Now, here's the thing. Looking at these 2 words in English, can you tell how they were derived? Is it anything logically, if you had never seen the word investment before in your life, would you be able to guess by looking at it? Probably not. If you're that smart, hey, you don't need this. You don't need college. What are you doing? You should be a billionaire. Okay. However, the equivalence in Arabic is stathmara, is the measure 10 of thamara. Okay, by definition. And measure 10 means to seek whatever measure 1 is. You don't have to know that now. We're going to go over 10 later, but I just give you this as one example of how this works. So if you looked at this, to seek profit, well, you might not exactly know what that means, but if you to understand this word means invest, well, works out pretty good. Now, so far you're saying this is so simple and great. Thank you very much. I'm going to be on my way. Well, not so fast. As always, we have to throw a monkey wrench at your head in the works. Excuse me. So there is a secondary meaning for measure 2. Get used to it. Some of these measures have more than one meaning. Causative is by far the common one. The second one is the meaning of being intensive of measure 1. What do we mean here? Okay, so this obviously is a measure 1 verb. Kasra. Kasra is to break. For example, aleph maksur. Aleph maksur means broken aleph. You'll never look at it the same way again, will you? Okay, kasra means to break. Kassara is measure 2, right? Now you can see that instantly, but what does that mean? To cause someone to break? I mean, we don't even want to think about that. So that's obviously not what it means. So it has a different meaning. In this case, the other meaning of measure 2 is to do this intensively. So to intensively break, like break is one time. Kassara is like to shatter something, to smash. Yeah, agreed, right? But you can tell by the context which meaning they're looking for. Remember, causative is the usual one, but some cases it will be this, and context will tell you. Don't get hung up about that. What you do want to get hung up about is this. Okay, now, trust me, the pronunciation of this pattern is very important. If you don't get this right, no one will know which measure you're using. Furthermore, you won't know what measure someone else is using. And so this neat pattern we just told you is going to be of no use to you. Remember what we said back when we talked about the Arabic verbs several lessons ago. We stressed this fact, right? 2 syllables. Yedrus, yaktab, ashrab, naskun, boom, 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 boom. Why is that important? Well, when we get to measure 2, we're going to have 3 syllables. And remember, I am not talking about this last, we're not using the last syllable on the end of the word, like yakseru. Because again, if you don't know when to change that to the other vowels, don't include it. But the basic pattern has 2 syllables, right? Yedrus, yaksur, yaskun, boom, boom. Measure 2, by definition, is going to have a 3rd syllable. Why? It can't have a sukoon here. Why? Because it's got a shedda here. That means 2 consonants in a row. If you had a sukoon here, you would have 3 consonants in a row. That violates the laws of nature, and you will be taken away to prison. So don't do it. So we have to put in another vowel. The great thing is these vowels are always the same. The first one is always an u. Yukasir. Now this is a feta. Notice the way that the computer writes it. It puts it underneath the shedda, but it's down here. Yukasir. Yudaris. Yusajil. Yushakil. That rhythm is measure 2. So Yedrus, Yeskun, Ashrab, Yakul. That's measure 1. You can tell by the number of syllables and what they are. Measure 2, listen for the vowels. Yukasser, Yujammal, Yukasser, and so forth. Okay? So one of the easiest things to recognize is the oo sound at the beginning. If you hear that oo, Yukasser, Yudaris, you know it is not a measure 1. If you hear that oo, Udaris, Tudaris, Nudaris, that is not measure 1. Okay, this is very important. Don't make the beginner mistake of mixing these up. If you do, no one is really going to know what you're talking about. Well, let's take one final example. 2 of our favorite words. You notice I've put no. There are no vowels here, but you don't need them. Okay, and obviously this is a trick. We were just trying to see who was paying attention. Very good. Okay, Scott, excellent. Okay, as you know, as you well know, this shedda here makes this a measure 2. Notice the relation between them. The measure 1 is to study. The measure 2, to cause to study, right, to teach. Okay, and so this is the relation 1 and 2 between them. The relation in terms of spelling is putting a shedda here. Now, before we look at it, go ahead and sound out what the vowel pronunciation should be. Pronounce both of these with the vowels in them. Ready? First one, to study. Right. To teach. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. To study. Yedros. Yedros. There is no shedda here, so there is no vowel here. Yedros. 2 syllables. Yedros. Okay. So now in the past tense, however, unfortunately it's not quite so easy, because in this case we don't have an additional syllable. We already had 3 syllables, remember, in every past tense conjugation. Da-da-sa, da-da-sat, da-das-tu, da-das-ti, da-das-ta, da-das-na. So in this case, the only difference you will hear is the shedda on the middle consonant. So we just have to pay attention to it. So darasa, darasa. Darastu, darastu. Darasta, darasta. Darasti, darasti. Darastum, darastum, and so forth. But you can hear the difference there. Darastum versus darastum. So that we have to kind of listen to. But definitely in the present tense, you have to be very clear to distinguish between edras, udaris. Okay, that additional syllable and the u sound. Well, hopefully you have seen the power that the measures can unlock for you. And this is just measure 2. We're going to see the other measures and you're going to realize how much we can leverage these. And we will catch up with, pass, and leave in the dust those colleagues of ours studying French and Spanish and so forth. So on behalf of my good friend Sandy, the lab, we wish you the best, and we will see you again next time. Make sure you do all those exercises, all the practice, and understand them. Thank you so much.